Welcome back to the Combo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula here.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Pasta J is on the ones and twos, spinning it up, cutting it up, fam, with, Commandant right here. Look at this. Right there. Commandant and fam. I got that on because We're going to get to it later today. Nicaragua, back in the mouths of the war machine of the empire. Grandpa Joe, you know him. So we'll get into that as well. And for all you Venezuelans and Cubans out there, hang on, because they called you the Trioca of tyranny, I believe is what Bolton called them years ago. And that hasn't
really?
stopped. Yeah, I know. It's a little funny sometimes, fam, when we're so damn accurate saying that. They're kind of looking at these countries over here in Latin America. It looks like they'll be manufacturing consent for some type of war over there, whether it be Grandpa Joe or Uncle Ron DeSantis. Donald Trump tried to actually kill and murder in a hitman style mafia movie, Maduro, but failed, fam.
Of course. Yes, fam, we know. We commies know the things that happen.
Yeah.
You know this.
So, fam, special thanks to Rob Juno, who sent some love to you, to me,
Rob.
us. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Rob
Rob.
Juno. Love you.
Yes.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then an Assange Pete fam sent a very nice, generous tip over on our Give, Send, Go. And if you haven't got a chance to go to our Give, Send, Go, guys, it's really important to us. I will put it up right now. Go to givesendgo.com/the combo couch Brazil. It's heating up over there, fam. I heard there was thousands of people in the street for Lula the other day, like just overwhelmingly like crazy, like looking to knock this out of the park first round, not even get to the second round.
That's what I hope.
Yeah, a lot of people do. I just hope they have their own national sovereignty, fam. So that's just my
obviously, fam, but I don't want to have to go back there again. That's what I'm saying. I hope
know,
whatever.
I know.
Yeah.
Camilla's reporting on the streets of Sao Paulo. It's
Sao Paulo.
There's poverty. There's people eating out of garbage pails.
Yeah.
This was a really personal thing of Lula when he first came over. Got elected, was to take care of the poor. It's something he got ridiculed for. People were saying, but from the rich people, the upper class, they were like, so it's going to be very interesting because I think a lot of people want him back. From what my other friend Robin has told me, that she's talked to people back in Brazil, there's old chance of the 1964 removing of the coup. So the people are like kind of looking at it. They understand. See, here's what people have to understand. Whether you like Bolsonaro for his COVID protocols or the fact that he just struck a deal with Putin for some diesel, it doesn't make a difference. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. It's like Pinochet. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. The State Department worked with the Brazilian judicial system to throw Lula in jail so he couldn't run, ultimately making Bolsonaro the president when he won an election without Lula. So I don't care if you like him or not. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. And that's something we have to point out. So now all I only care about is the people. If this is their choice, if they want Lula back, he gets back in fair and square. If he doesn't and they want Bolsonaro, so be it. But I will not forget the fact that they removed Lula and our State Department helped do it.
Yeah, our State Department their hands were completely just completely dirtied up on that. So there's no, equitable, let's go back to what it was. It's the United States was involved in that, just like they have been involved in every other regime change operation in the Global South forever. So, yeah.
All right, guys. You know the drill. Do us a favor. We're really getting shadow banned nowadays. It's crazy. Go over to Rockfin, hit the like button, hit the share there. We're on YouTube today. Go hit the like button, hit the share there button there too as well. So let's get it out there. And we're also on Rumble. All the Combo Couch platforms are rolling. We are hot. We're looking good, especially me, fam, with my Nicaraguan gear and my Comandante right behind me. So let's get rolling into it. You want to start the first subject?
Yeah, I guess we can start the first subject. Okay, so guys, as you know, I think you guys have really assumed that we were going to cover this because this is such a big deal. So pretty much everything in Moscow has been talking about the referendum, talking about the mobilization of these troops in Russia in response to pretty much like Russians have been asked by, particularly Putin has been asked by a lot of people. We discussed this with Mark Salota, right? not too long ago, where a lot of people were like, why isn't Russia responding back to a lot of the attacks that are happening by Ukraine? And so here is Russia responding back. But the problem is when Russia responds back, it is taken as an escalation towards nuclear war. And it doesn't matter what Russia does, it's just always an escalation. And so what's been happening is that Russia has recognized that this isn't a war against Ukraine, but this is rather a war against NATO and their allies, the entire collective of NATO. And a lot of the territories that are pro-Russian have said they want to become a part of the Russian Federation. That's a little bit different than just being an autonomous zone that is pro-Russian. This means that they are actually a part of Russia. Therefore, any military advancement is a Russian advancement. So when we're talking about the Donbass, we're talking about the Lugansk Republic, we're talking about the Kherson region. We're talking about all these areas that want to be a part of Russia. And that signals a turn towards support of Russia on the ground. Now, what we're seeing is, of course, a lot of people react and respond differently to what's been going on. So I want to break down a little bit of what's been going on in terms of the latest headlines. So breaking news. This is as of yesterday, right? The Kherson, Zaporozhye, and all liberated territories are going to be joining the Russian Federation in the near future. And the Donetsk and the Lugansk republics have announced they'll be holding referendums on whether to become a part of Russia between September 23rd and 27th. This is very soon. This is like happening like tomorrow and like the next few days on. So this is going to be a big deal. There are delegations that are going to go to pretty much look over these elections happening, because these referendums are basically voting processes taking place, and the people will decide that they want to be a part of the Russian Federation or not. Pasta, you and I are experts at watching, observing elections as to what people decide. This is a big deal. A lot of our friends are going to be here. We're not going to be here, obviously, because unfortunately, coincidentally, what happens is we're going to be in Brazil, getting ready for the elections in Brazil as this is happening. Now, nobody planned for this. Nobody knew that this was going to happen. If it were up to a lot of people here, I wouldn't be leaving right now. This is like a terrible time to leave. But at the same time, there's so much going on right now. And that's the thing. I get anxiety when I'm like, oh my God, I'm leaving right now. There's so much going on. But a lot of our good friends are going to be here overlooking this referendum, which is basically a vote, right? It's basically a vote to decide if they're going to be a part of Russia or not. Before we go into these actions, I just want to get your opinion on, what do you think about this process? The fact that they get to vote as to whether they want to be a part of Russia or not.
I think it's something that those people have been waiting for a long time for. It was so when you were on the show the other day with Eva and Vanessa, and Eva talking about, people don't want to have war, but what about the people in the Donbass, the 14,000 people that are getting shelled all the time that I just went and seen? So I think they want this protection from Russia. They want to be part of Mother Russia. We will see how the vote is. Want to talk about an election we could have gone and observed, huh?
Yeah.
No shit,
yeah.
dude. But I think this is a long time coming, and I think it's what the people of Luhansk and Donetsk want. And if they do vote, overwhelmingly to go, just like Crimea did, that's what I would suspect. I think it's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just wondering what the pushback will be from the West.
Exactly. And again, it's funny because, this is what we do. And some of these delegations were formed rather quickly because nobody knew this was going to happen precisely at this time. And I know for a fact, being in media, that the newsroom has been crazy, in trying to deal with Putin's speech and trying to deal with everything. It's been all over the place right now. So this is nothing that was necessarily planned. We knew that this was coming. but not precisely to this timeline. We had no idea that this is going to come precisely at this right time. So let's break down a couple of things that have happened since. So these are some actions that have been taken by Moscow in the last 24 to 48 hours, even less than 48 hours. I would say 24 to 36 hours. So Putin announced a partial mobilization in Russia beginning as of yesterday into the military reserves and those who've served and have experience. So basically anybody that's had military experience that has served in the reserves before will be required at least 1 year of service, or if not, they'll have to like present a reason. And this is something that when we talked to Mark Sloboda, he was saying how like the Russian military is only using a percentage. Well, this is increasing that percentage. We are talking about how a lot of people are asking Russia to use more of their force. This is a part of it, right? And the Russian Defense Minister, Sergei Shoigu, said, "We are not at war with Ukraine, but with the collective West." Now, this is an important point where he pretty much highlighted a lot of the things that we know. We know that Russia isn't just at war with Ukraine. We know this isn't a war between Russia and Ukraine. We know this is a war between NATO, the West, the United States, and Russia via Ukraine. We know that Ukraine is being used as the prop, but we know that the war is really between the United States, the West, and Russia. And that's pretty much what's happening. And Sergei Shoigu recognized that recently. And these actions by Moscow are a response to the mobilization of NATO, the response to the continuous heightened attacks in the Donbass region, in the civilian areas, where people, like when we had Mark on, were very upset that there wasn't enough of a response from Russia, when they were upset that this was a continuation of just like the West and NATO pushing against Russia. So now what we're seeing is a complete response to that via a military mobilization, as well as a mobilization of just politically getting everybody together and say, okay, this is how we're going to respond. And we want to find a way to have a sort of negotiation. But if Ukraine isn't going to come to us and negotiate now, then once we are past this, there's going to be no negotiation. And this is coming not just from, of course, Sergei Shoigu, but this is coming from Vladimir Putin himself and from the entire Russian Federation, because they're being pushed a lot to by the people of Russia to actually push back against what Ukraine has been doing, which is literally attacking civilians in areas where it has nothing to do with the military. It's completely civilian areas, like where Ava was. And that is, of course, causing a lot of people to say, well, we need to push back a little bit harder. This is a response, and I'm just going to analyze myself based on my analysis as to what I know about the situation. This is just the next phase into the war. This isn't, Putin saying we're going to go and put a bunch of nukes. This is just Putin saying we're going to move towards the next phase of the war, which is going to include more military folks, more weapons, more of a targeted attack. We're going to push back against what's been done to us, and we're going to actually have this sort of like military and just geopolitical push against what's been going on. This is more of the second phase of the war. This isn't really Putin saying we're going to go and have a nuclear warfare. This is just saying we're responding to what's been done. And that's the problem. This is one of the reasons Russia didn't respond as aggressively before, is because the moment they do, the West and the media go and say, wow, Russia is escalating things. They're trying to push nuclear war. And so everybody run away. Oh my God. I can't tell you how many people told me to leave Russia and to be careful with what's going on. But I know better, and I know what's going on. And a lot of us here that are in media, we know what really this is about. But it's so fucking annoying to be told, like, oh my God, Russia, they're like willing to escalate. No, this is just Russia responding after they've been told, hey, you're not responding enough by a lot of their own people to respond. And the moment they respond, it's like, wow, you're trying to start nuclear war. It's like they can't have any sort of win in any way.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us who've been following this situation pretty closely would even argue that, when it comes to Putin making moves to the Russian Federation in this situation, that a lot of people like ourselves feel he dragged his feet. Like we've always saying, what are you doing? Come on, what's going on? Even from when it started in 2014, eventually when the Ukrainian Azov Battalion moved in on eastern Ukraine and started pummeling them and terrorizing the ethnic-speaking Russians of the Donbass, his own people in his own country. Mark Sloboda talked about this before in the past. They wanted him to get involved. They couldn't believe he waited so long. And I'm glad that this decision has come a little bit swifter. Not that I'm happy that there's escalation, but we expected something to come out of the latest pullback or whatever you want to call it, withdraw, revamp, reload. But yeah, this is not a surprise at all, fam. So
yeah, not at all. And I mean, I think it's necessary. Let's see if we can go to the next one, fam.
You want to play the video or no?
Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and play this video. I'm just gonna pretty much Putin just pretty much laid it out and said that the United States is they're just not going to be allowed to just push back without any sort of repercussions. So let's hear what Vladimir Putin just had to say.
Тем, кто позволяет себе такие заявления в отношении России, хочу напомнить, что наша страна также располагает различными средствами поражения, а по отдельным компонентам и более современными, чем у стран НАТО. И при угрозе территориальной целостности нашей страны для защиты России и нашего народа мы, безусловно, используем все имеющиеся в нашем распоряжении средства. Тем, кто позволяет себе такие заявления.
Right. So pretty much he was basically saying that he's willing to use all means to push back against what's been going on by the United States and their NATO allies. Because again, this isn't just a simple war as, oh, Russia is fighting Ukraine. We know that Ukraine is backed not just by the EU, not just by the UK and the US, they're backed by everybody that's an ally to those nations. And so Russia knows this, and they're saying, hey, we know that this is happening. Pasta, I do want to go back to the tweet before that, the tweet thread, where we're talking about the latest headlines.
Yes, the second one.
Yeah, the actions taken by Moscow. It's a thread. And
got it.
Basically, just to go over, so you guys know what's been happening the last 48 hours. So anybody that has, like I said before, that has served or has had experience in the military reserves is going to be asked to be a part of the army, right? And of course, Shogu said we're not at war with Ukraine, we're at war with the collective West, which is echoed by Putin's recent reaction that we just saw in the video. This is a big deal because of the fact that this isn't just, again, this isn't even a proxy war. This isn't even just Ukraine and Russia. Everybody knows that these two countries are being weaponized between the East and the West, meaning like Russia is at war with NATO and the rest of the world. So according to Sergei Shoigu, 70 military and more than 200 civilian satellites and all of NATO are working at the interest of Ukraine. So he's pretty much laying out that Ukraine has all of these people working for them. So he decided to also mobilize part of the Russian military. One of the things we talked about with Mark Sloboda was that only a small percentage of the Russian military was mobilized. This is, again, an interest in mobilizing more of the Russians' population towards the military, and in order to pretty much go against NATO. This is also part of the fact that Russia hasn't been really using all of their capacity. And so now they're going to step it up and use more of their capacity. And this mobilization, by the way, doesn't include people who are in college. If you're in college and you're doing whatever it is you're doing, you don't have to be a part of this. It's only if you aren't, and if you everybody has to serve a year. It's not like anybody has to serve more than that. So partial mobilization is primarily needed to control the liberated territories in the 1,000-kilometer line of contact that is there. It must be consolidated. These territories must be controlled by Sergei Shoigu said that. So what that basically means is, like, when you have the DPR and the LPR, the Lugansk and the Donetsk People's Republic, they can't just allow these territories to just go free fall, because there's a lot of interest in there. So they're saying we need people to take over these territories. And if they're going to be a part of Russia, then there has to be some sort of mechanism to allowing this process to happen. So, for example, a lot of people ask me, what's the difference between the Donetsk People's Republic being an autonomous zone that is pro-Russian versus being a part of the Russian Federation? Well, if they're an autonomous zone, they have full control of their entire government. They have full control of everything that goes on. They are Russian speaking and they support Russia, but that doesn't mean they are actually part of Russia. Once they join the Russian Federation, they become a part of Russia, which means that in spite of them having a lot of control based on the locality of where they're at, the Russian Federation has an oversight as to, okay, so this is what's going on here, and this is what we're going to do. That's the difference. And of course, you can go back to, is that centralized versus decentralized? Yes. But this is my criticism to anarchists, is when you have a situation like this, where you have like NATO and the United States and the West trying to take over your countries and trying to make your areas, your localities, their own, is it better to have an ally like Russia that's like, okay, well, we're going to protect you, we're going to provide you with this military, and then we'll figure it out after? That's kind of what's happening right now. It's not like Russia is forcing these people to do this. This is what these people of these areas want. This is why they're going to vote in this referendum, and we're going to see either nay or yay in this referendum. And that's a whole thing, because the problem when you don't have a centralized form of government, and like I've said many times, I'm not for huge centralized forms of government, but the problem when you don't have that is when you have invaders that come in, it's harder to protect these areas. And so in this stance, the way Lugansk and Donetsk have been autonomous zones, with Russia kind of helping them out. Well, when they're a part of the Russian Federation, any attack on these regions, on these territories, is an attack on the entire Russian Federation. The moment they join the Russian Federation, that means that NATO and whoever is attacking the Lugansk and Donetsk, whether it's Ukraine or NATO, is attacking the entirety of the Russian Federation, which escalates the war to another level. And so when that happens, that means that Russia then has the ability to respond on a heightened level against this. And yes, these territories are more protected now, but at the same time, that escalates the war. And so it's been this back and forth of people saying, well, we want Russia to respond more harshly. We want Russia to push back against what NATO and Ukraine are doing. They're killing civilians. And it's also been the other side that's like, well, we want peace. We don't want to escalate this war to a nuclear threat. And so that's what the United States and the West are going to use. They're going to say that Russia is escalating this to a nuclear threat, when in reality, Russia is just going to the next phase of the war, which is like, okay, we're going to defend these territories that want our help. And this is what they want, so we're going to defend them. And so now we're all coming together, because basically we feel that Russia, ourselves, the Russian Federation, are fighting the entirety of NATO. We're not just fighting Ukraine, but we're fighting NATO and all of their allies. So it's not fair that we are left alone to fight NATO. We need our allies. So they're trying to get as many allies as they can. And that's essentially where we're at in the phase of this conflict.
Well, I have it up there, fam. So I'll ask you, if Luhansk People's Republic and the Donetsk People's Republic decide that they want to join the Russian Federation, now they're part of the Russian Federation, the Azov Battalion with Western weapons fires into this now Russian territory, how will Putin respond?
They will respond with saying, you are attacking territories of the Russian Federation, and we are going to use the entirety of the means that we have to respond. Meaning, now that now that they're a part of the Russian Federation, we have the ability to respond back using every single weapon that we have, and we're going to go back at you. And if the United States, NATO, and the EU do not pull back and say, hey, all right, fine, we see what's going on here, they're going to use every measure of their weapons that they have to respond, because they don't see this as just a war against Ukraine. They see this as a war against NATO, against the West, and against maintaining their own sovereignty. Essentially, if they don't win this war, they cease to be Russia as its own existence. They cease to be its own independent country and sovereignty. So this is a fight to pretty much the existence of what is Russia, and that's why they're fighting against it. And this, of course, this escalates. It doesn't really escalate it in terms of like the reality of things, but like in terms of like how the West sees it. Oh my God, Russia is pushing back, blah blah blah. But really, it's just Russia doing what they should have done a long time ago. What people wanted them to do a long time ago is say, hey, you don't get to just push us around. We're going to push back and say, you can't just go after these people. These people are our allies. We're going to defend them, and we're going to use every weapon and every mechanism we have. We have all these weapons, modern day weapons we're going to use. And that's what Vladimir Putin recently said, and what we're going to.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the Combo Couch. We will be joined by Fiorella pretty soon as she comes back. Take a look at the GiveSendGo.com, the Combo Couch Brazil. We haven't received any super raise today. So yet, I'm sure we will. And thank you to all who do that. It's going towards this trip. But we did just get some love inside our GiveSendGo. Somebody just donated a little cheese. And again, just another piece that's coming through. This is really, really nice, guys. Do us the favor. Go to that GiveSendGo.com. Whatever you give, $10, $20, $100, $5, $2, anything. Just do it as best you can. And if not, just share the video, share the link. We'll get it out there. So let's take a look at some of the comments we have from some of the people who are watching today. I love this one right over here. This guy says, hey, man, what's Pasta's background? Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm 61% Southern Italian. Chili Love can tell you. He's Italian, Pittsburgh. That's what I am. Also, Julie Love said, at first they just wanted independence, but UK Nazis still annihilating them. So now they decide to join for more powerful protections. Yeah, I think it was a good move. Obviously, if this vote goes through, and I think it will, I think you're going to see a lot like Crimea. And you can see right off the bat, when Crimea joined Russia, they immediately didn't stop messing around in Crimea. I mean, they actually had their greedy little hands in some intelligence agencies, and I'm sure they were trying to push separatists in there through backdoor channels, but no major military was going on once Crimea became part of the Russian Federation. And it also says, Jeffrey, it means Russia can finally kill Ukrainian government and political figures. Fam, do you have anything to say about that? Is this so the fact that if in fact Zelensky now bombs the Luhansk or Donetsk, is it now more likely we'll see some of these capital targets within Kiev, maybe get some bombs dropped on them? Would that be a possibility, you think, right here?
Russia doesn't want to bomb civilian areas. Again, it's been a back and forth with a lot of people saying, hey, you need to be more aggressive and you need to go after these central intelligence areas where there's a lot of weapons and there's a lot of intelligence apparatus being pretty much produced. And so Russia doesn't want to do that because they don't want to escalate. They don't want to be the ones that are going after these people. Number one, Russians see Ukrainians as their brothers and sisters. And I haven't, even people outside of politics that I've talked to, they don't want any war against Ukrainians. They see them as their family, their brothers, their friends. This isn't something they want. But at the end of the day, the way the West has been manipulating this media is any sort of pushback that Russia gives is the end of the world, and the West is and Ukraine are allowed to pretty much go and execute people who they deem to be pro-Russian. So a lot of the people in the Donbass and the Lugansk republics have said it's about time that you guys attack these intelligence centers, that you guys go after these people. So they want that. And so it's kind of like the Russian Federation, the military has to weigh these options and say, okay, we're going to strategically go after these areas, and we're going to try to push back against what we need to push back. This is why they haven't fully used their full brunt of the military. Let's not forget that Russia is only using a fraction of their military. If they were going to use the vast majority of their military, this war would have been done a long time ago. It's not just me saying that. It's not just Mark Sloboda saying that. It's anybody that is any sort of analyst in this area saying that. Like, if Russia was going to use the vast majority of their forces, their military, there wouldn't be a chance. The Russian military is bigger than the United States military if they wanted it to be. And they're not even forcing people to come on. Necessarily, if you're a student, if you're whatever, if you don't have experience, they're not doing that yet. They're pretty much just going a little bit further than they were before. This is, again, because of the criticism that they weren't pushing back enough and that they weren't using enough of the military that we just got done talking with Mark about, that they were only using a certain percentage of their military, where now they're increasing that. But again, the moment they do that, it's like, oh my God, Russia is trying to start nuclear war. Well, really, they're pretty much responding to what has been done. And this is, again, the next phase. Is this going to necessarily lead to nuclear threat? Not necessarily. It's up to the EU. If the EU wants to de-escalate things, and a lot of the EU leadership has said, like in Belarus and other parts of the European Union, they said, hey, this isn't working, we need to de-escalate. That's fine. But if they're going to continue pushing and say we're going to continue funding Ukraine to the last Ukrainian, well, Russia's going to continue pushing back, because they see this as not just a war against Russia, but also an ideological war against who they are as a people, against a fight against NATO and the West. This is the last stand. And so this isn't going to be something that they're going to give in easily, which is why you're seeing Vladimir Putin say what he's saying, which is why you're seeing Dmitry Peskov say what he's saying, which is why you're seeing Sergei Shoigu say what he's saying. And what's going on right now is that Biden and the West are trying to make this look like, oh, Russia is being very aggressive, and this is how we're going to turn it around, when in reality, Russia's just responding to what's being done. And this is why they haven't responded thus far, because anytime they do, it's looked on as them being overly aggressive.
Fam, this is the one comment that won for me. I was playing up a bunch of comments, and guys, thank you for joining on in. Our audience knows what's going on. You know, you guys are so smart, but this did it for me. General Meow Meow. Someone should just take Zelensky's coach stash away. Problem solved. I think so too. Angelique Brain says, insane in the coke brain. I mean, this guy has pictures of himself just coked up saying stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. NATO and EU are on the attack through Ukraine and have been in this fight more months. That is right, Elizabeth. They've been in it for quite some time. Guys, thank you so much for everybody joining. We got about 250 people almost hanging on out in the YouTubes. We got about 7 people watching over there on Rumble. If you guys can go over to Rumble and like that. And we have 88 hanging on out in the Rockfin, Denver Attaway. I see you. Milburn Stone, what's going on? AREM, thank you so much.
AREM.
Very safe biolabs. We love you. The biolabs are very, very safe. Can you see Kamala Harris just saying that? Jordan Benke, Milburn Stone is there. Ronnie Graham. Thank you guys to all the people hanging out on the Rockfin, guys. We need your love over there. Nobody's left the Super Ray fan, but while you got disconnected, we have gotten 2 tips on our beautiful Give Send Go. Go to the GiveSendGo.com, the Combo Couch Brazil. We are starting to make it happen. We can't do this, guys, without you. This is a very important trip, but it's a very expensive trip. So our goal was close to 5,000. We're at 1,900. So we're on our way. We're on our way. We're getting close to the 39% area, the 40% area. We're getting close there, but we're going to need all the help we can get. Fee, you can tell them how expensive the Moscow ticket is. It was just ridiculous. So
yeah, so we're doing this on our own. I'm not doing this on behalf of RT or anything. We're doing this on our own. So this is just us putting out our coverage because this coverage requires an in-depth sort of situation going into it. It's not just, being there and blah, blah, blah and reporting whatever superficial thing you see. This is understanding. We're trying to understand how people have lived there since since Bolsonaro was in power, why people want to elect Lula, why people want to elect Bolsonaro, the difference, in this. And then apart from that, the election that's going to happen, the process. And now it's interesting because a lot of my friends are going to be here now with the referendums in the Donbass. So I'm just kind of like, damn it. Like, why is everything happening at once and we're all being torn apart? But at the same time, it's great because we have an international movement here between a lot of us journalists that we're friends with. I was just on the show with Pasta and Steve, with Vanessa Bielini, Bartlett, two great friends of mine. I love them very dearly. I look up to these women. They're amazing to me. And so they're going to be in this area while I'm over there in Brazil with Pasta. So it's great. And, we're going to be looking at too what's going on with the referendum, because while we're in Brazil, Pasta is when the referendum is going to be voted on. And it's going to require an election observation of this referendum because it is a vote that's happening. So I was telling Pasta how, like, wow, this is just another vote. Like, this is what's going on. They're voting. The people are voting on this, and they're going to decide if they want to be a part of Russia or not. This is a very big, important thing. And nobody could predict that it was going to go on around the same time as Brazil was going to go on. But this is what's happening right now. And so it's kind of great. And at the same time, it's kind of like, I wish I could be in two places at once, literally. But that's what's going on. So we really do think that it's important for you guys, if you can in any way, shape, or form, help us out to go to Brazil, because it is literally, I heard that flights to leaving Moscow were sold out. I already have my flight, so it's not a problem. But it's just still like it coming back in, leaving and going over there. It's a lot. And like, just because of the sanctions, it's ridiculous. Like, everything that's going on, it is really hard for us to do the work we want to do. And if it were up to me, I would be able to go to, everywhere. I would be going to more places. I would be going to DC to help out with the Assange events, etc. But, these are one of the times where we won't be able to do that, because we've been to a lot of those events. And this is just one of the times where I'm just not going to be able to do it. And so, support everybody that's trying to get all these events. But if you can help us out, that would be great.
Okay, I'm going to read some Super Rays, fam. And I want to thank everybody for doing what they can do. If you can't leave the shkadol, just give the love.
Shkadol.
Share. If you can't give the shkadol, just give the love. And that means just liking and sharing and getting the news out there. So the first one is from Jacob Greismer. How you doing, Jacob? It's good to see you again. Jacob Greismer's here. Thanks for the show. I think Zelensky boasts of funny unions in the Wall Street Journal article you wrote. Funny YouTube deleted the Victoria Nuland audio of her handpicking Ukrainian's next president. Did they really? Yet BBC has the transcript, and there it is. He left it right there, guys, in the Super Ray. Jacob, you can see it. It's right there. The transcript is there. So go ahead and check it out. It doesn't surprise me, Jacob, that they removed that YouTube video. Fam, remember we were playing that YouTube video when we first started this show, talking about that stuff? That stuff was crazy. Could you read out the Give, Send, Go comments? That's from Aaron. Of course I could. You know what I'll do? I will really quickly just bring it up. Let me grab it here 1 second, guys. Thank you so much. We did have some Super Rays just come on in, and that is just amazing. Not Super Rays, but Give, Send, Go donations. So all you have to do to go to our Give, Send, Go is go to the givesendgo.com/support, /the Convo Couch Brazil. And you can go there. You can see there's some of the love. Let's take a look and see what people have been saying. So I'll make it nice and big. Fam, shut up. Recent donations, Mariah Myers. Thank you so much. Great work, Pasta and Fiorella. Fam, Mariah Myers has sent me peaches. I don't know if you know that. She sent the best peaches. She sent me a peach hot sauce. And you know what she suggested I put it on? Pizza. So I made some vegan pizzas. I made a nice little zesty sauce. I had the vegan mozzarella. I had fresh basils. I had mushrooms, peppers, and onions. And then I sliced up these peaches. And the peaches that Mariah gave you, wow, fam. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Mariah's peaches.
Mariah's peaches are the best. Thank you so much, Mariah Myers, for leaving that love. We also have Sean K. Sean K, thank you so much. He left a little love there. He says Z. Fam,
Z.
I think that one was intended for you. We have an anonymous donor over there for $20. Thank you so much. These just came in. Deborah Wilson, fam. We met Deborah Wilson.
Love you, Deborah.
Yeah. Love the Convo Couch. Fight the good fight every moment. We love you. Let's give some hearts over there. Let's get some hearts on these ones over here. I gotta get some hearts. Go back and give the hearts, fam. I'm a heart-giving guy, you know? I like to give the hearts. Julian Assange. This is look at this one. Just look at this one right here.
Wow.
This person right here has been helping us out, has been really getting us on the ground. Have a nice trip and fall and autumn, if you prefer. You know where I'll be. One more thing. Get me the hell out of here.
Julian, we're trying, man. Like I said, there's an event on October 8th. I swear to God, if I could be in DC or in London, I fucking would.
Yes, Hawkafield. Thank you, Hawkified. Oh, thank you so much, Hawkified. I know who that is. Linda, thank you so much. Thank you for doing this important and sometimes dangerous work. I appreciate your sacrifices. Love and peace. Fam, you're going to love our press badges because they resemble Brazil. You'll see them. They're pretty cool. Jared, thank you so much. Just watched the Combo Cast for the first time with Dave Smith, Jimmy Dore, and Clinton Russell. 3 of my absolute favorite political commentators in one place. I paid $20 for that video alone. Go look in Brazil. Be safe down there. God bless. Thank you, Jared. I'm glad you liked that actual panel. I really re-released that again. When I was on Jimmy's show just recently, I told him, Jackson was like, you should run for president. I'm like, if you're going to run for president, the Libertarian Party's on every single state and thing. And he even said, they don't have health care yet. I don't know about that party. I was like, Jesus. Linda Teach, fam. Oh,
Linda.
I love you, Linda Teach.
Long time fam.
Oh, thank you, Fee and Pasta, for keeping the fire lit for free speech and fair elections. We've worked with Linda Teach old school on fair elections. Linda Teach went up into that room, remember, fam, with the placebo ballots? What do they call those? I forgot what they call them.
Provisional.
Oh, my God. That's like, I've been to 4 of the elections, fam. Did they have any provisional ballots? No. I should mention that. I totally forget that shit. Anonymous donor, thank you so much. 3 days ago, thank you for putting up empathy, compassion for other people's first. Thank you so much. And here, fam, here's Mariah Myers on the front end. Safe travels to Brazil. Thank you for the groundwork.
Thank you, Mariah.
Couch. We love you, Mariah. You're the best. Cindy K, thank you for all you do. Safe travels. We will be traveling safe. Hey, fam, I'm going to Brazil, baby. Just look out, fam. I'll be dancing all over the place.
No, we need to take care of you, fam. It's not the safest place.
Got you. Thank you for the coverage, Anonymous Donor. That was 11 days ago. We do appreciate it. Christopher Dobby, thank you so much.
Christopher.
You're the best, Chris. Long time no see. Pritchard. He's such a Pritchard. Maybe we should get a love there. Okay, I already gave him love. Looking forward to hearing some good news. Pritchard, I know what you want. I have a feeling I can just read your mind. You're a Lula guy. Anonymous donor. Thank you so much. Pasta is right about Putin going to Ukraine. It's a shame. Jimmy Dore, Dave Smith don't see it that way. Yeah, Clint kind of hang back on that question. Both Jimmy and Dave said they are anti-war, so they don't agree to it. But it's like Eva said the other day. How about the people of Donbass? They were anti-war. Nobody was speaking up for them as they were getting bombed and shelled. I hate talking about an action as opposed to a reaction. And that's what this is. This is a reaction. I don't want to say it's just justified. It should be just expected to as well. I mean, come on. DC says, I just wanted to tell you both look good. I want to tell you both look good.
He said, just want to tell you both good luck, fam.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was like you both look good. Mike, I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you. DC is always supporting us when we do our election work. Fam is Lizzie Prickles. Lizzie Prickles over here.
Lizzie Prickles.
Go
Lizzie.
Godspeed to you both. You two rock. Thank you very much, Lizzie Prickles.
Thank you, Lizzie
donor.
Prickles.
Good luck. Give my best to President Lula and President Dilma. Don DeBar, man. Don
Don,
DeBar.
you're not
Oh,
anonymous, Don.
I know, right? Yeah, he's a
We
boomer
love you,
like me.
Don,
Yeah, he
but
doesn't know
yeah.
how to use that and stuff. But we have to have Don DeBar back on. Guy is awesome.
Yeah.
First time I saw
Don
Don
DeBar
DeBar was on
back on.
Crosstalk. Just rocked it 15 days ago. Thanks for getting out there to cover these elections. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you so much, anonymous donor and
Marie Fonseca.
Marie Fonseca.
We love that crazy bee.
We love old Marie Fonseca. I think that's all of them, fam.
Marie, when I'm in Florida, I will hit you up.
That's all of them. That is it. Let me get us out of here real quick, fam. We have to jump to the next section because I got to go talk about MAGA communism again.
Oh, God. Really? Again?
Really.
Why? I can't right now. I cannot. I refuse.
Hold on here.
Fam, today is my guys, I don't know if you know this, but it's breaking news. Breaking news! This is the latest news. You won't hear about it anywhere else. Breaking news, this is Fiorella's 3-month anniversary in Moscow. 3 months I've been here by my lonesome. Just saying. I'm deep state. Okay, so let's talk about this situation here.
Should I just get into the video real quick, or?
Yeah, so this is the Latin American section, and I have to point this out because this was going on while the whole Putin thing was going on, and everybody was covering this too. So we were watching like Petro and Luis Arce and everything going on. So Petro basically said F you to the CIA, and Bolivia said F you to the IMF. So for all my, anti-libtard, anti-liberal friends here, conservative friends here, this is a big deal. So let's look at what Casacho News posted, because Casacho News has been pretty much on point on everything, right? Let's look at this, and let's start with what Pasta put out. So this is Bolivia. Bolivia will not allow the foreign looting of their lithium reserves, says President Luis Arce at the UN General Assembly. So let's just play that, and I'll explain a little bit further.
We want our reserves of lithium not to follow the path of other natural resources that, in conditions of colonialism and capitalist development, only serve to increase the wealth of the few and provoke hunger among peoples. Bearing this in mind, we have consolidated our sovereignty over our natural resources as lithium, its industrialization, and the benefit drawn from it geared toward the well-being of peoples, not to the benefit of transnationals or a small privileged group, and the sovereign appropriation of the economic surplus to be redistributed among the population that has the lowest income. We also reject any kind of interference or attempts to destabilize the democracy in our country with the goal of controlling lithium. According to what was stated by the commanding officer of the Southern Command of the United States just a couple months ago, the so-called lithium triangle located in South America, formed by Bolivia, Argentina, and Chile, is the focus of the United States. The United Nations must take measures against all those countries that don't respect the sovereignty and non-interference, and that confront peoples for the control of their strategic natural resources. We are not pieces on a chessboard. We're nations that work day in, day out to move forward, and we have every right to make sovereign decisions over our natural resources.
Okay, so this is the president of Bolivia, Luis Arce, talking about how Bolivia isn't going to just allow the West and any foreign adversary, outsider, to come and just use Bolivia's rich resources to their own desire. This is what's been happening to the global South ad nauseum. And like I said, I do want to do a special story on Puerto Rico. Excuse me. Because Puerto Rico is one such area that's been pretty much used as a colony by the West by the United States particularly, but countries like Bolivia, countries like Peru, countries like Colombia, countries in the global south, particularly Latin America, have been exploited by the United States for their rich natural resources. And basically what Bolivia is trying to do is nationalize their lithium, basically say that this is our stuff and you don't just get to use it to the benefit of your own country without actually, helping everybody else out. And this is a big deal because for the longest time, the United States has had full just allowance in being able to do this. And so now this is just, again, another pushback that we're seeing. And this is, again, at the, I believe, UN General Assembly. And this is unprecedented that multiple countries get to really tell the US off on this whole issue. And the IMF thing is a big deal. A lot of people on the right say, oh my God, the IMF. Well, yeah, I mean, Bolivia rejecting the IMF, Argentina also rejected the IMF. A lot of countries have been rejecting the IMF. It's a big deal. It really just tells that the US that they're not going to be under their dominion. And it's not some sort of conspiracy. Rejecting the IMF is a big deal. And maybe Pasta, you could speak to that a little bit more. But I mean, I think this is a huge step in pushing those boundaries and saying we will not be subjugated by the West. We're going to do what works best for our countries and the sovereignty of our own people.
It's what it's all about, right? It's once again the IMF. Part of the regime change playbook is to make sure after you go in and you conquer this territory or you put the government you want in there, the IMF then comes in there with loans, pretty much essentially financially shackling your country down with austerity measures, meaning that the loans got to be paid back to the IMF off the backs of the people, off the backs of the workers. So that's part of this whole control mechanism. So anytime you see them telling the IMF, it should make your eyes and your ears perk up. That's one thing, a lot about Nayib Bukele. A lot of people are not crazy about him. But one of the things that he's doing, he's been knocking heads with the IMF, been telling them to pretty much go scratch because they were not happy with his Bitcoin decisions. But any country that sits there and pushes back against the IMF, and that's something that AMLO had to deal with in the very beginning of his term, was trying to deal with the existing IMF loans and how to move forward without them controlling your country and your economy. So hats off to Luis Arce for making this big move over here by letting the IMF know, fam, go scratch. I do have this other tweet over here, by the way.
Yes, you can go on to the other tweet.
This one? Okay.
This one? Is it the same one?
It was a different one, but I'm going to go to the Petro one.
Yeah, well, let me just read, if you can scroll up so I can just read what he was saying. Another thing he also mentioned was, this is what he mentioned. He said, rejecting the IMF and building a strong role for the state. So this is what he said to the UNGA. So we already played it.
Okay.
This is the one we already played.
Gotcha.
We can go on to the next one.
Gustavo Petro.
I believe that is the case. Gustavo Petro. Okay.
So Gustavo Petro, look at it, boom. So fam, we talked about this before. You can spend a lot of time trying to criminalize drugs and really knock your head in. And I think that a lot of people were like, oh, United States would have never given up their honeypot in Colombia, all their cocaine. Well, they're not. I mean, what I'm saying? Gustavo Petro is just like, I'm going to decriminalize it over here. I'm just not going to have my people kill each other for it. So I guess the United States and the CIA is probably happy, fam, that they got their way. No?
Yeah, and I think it was just, I don't know if we put the wrong tweet up, but the only other thing, like Arce said, was that Bolivia will not allow the foreign looting of lithium reserves. So again, it's just along the same lines. They're not going to allow this. And Petro is right now, the Colombian president. Petro, of course, isn't a sort of radical, Castro. He's not a Daniel Ortega. He's not a Evo Morales necessarily, but he is somebody that is pushing back against the U.S. empire, right? This is what we got into it with Jackson and others who say that he is an NED WEF guy. But I honestly, his actions he's gone immediately. He has gone far faster than, say, somebody like AMLO, who took a few years to actually get there. And now, you see he's talking about Julian Assange, and he's talking about nationalization of energy and lithium, and he actually was able to get a lot of that. Petro has gone on right away. So just so you guys know, the big deal isn't just the symbolics of bringing back Bolivar's sword and all of that. It's the fact that he reopened. He has ministers and diplomats that have been talking with Venezuela, where they're reopening the communication sector with Venezuela, not just like symbolically, but also flights between Bogota and Caracas are like an hour long, and they're pretty much ready to start. They're starting right away. That's a big deal. These two countries have been at war for a long time. This is nothing like simplistic here. This is a big deal. If this guy was just a US backed idiot, he wouldn't have done that. It's a big deal. The United States does not want Petro to reestablish relationships with Venezuela. This is why people like Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and a lot of the Republicans have been speaking out against him because they don't like this. If they did like it, they wouldn't be opposing him to the level they are opposing him. And so one of the things he has been saying, and one of the criticisms with some of the people on the quote unquote left that have somehow become very much pro severe punishment on drugs and are very pro anti-drug. I don't know. I mean, I know where that comes from, but it's just not feasible to the United States, is because Petro has said, hey, we're not going to criminalize drugs. He's not good enough for them. And I think I stand on the side of let's not criminalize drugs, because you create a black market and you create more war and you create the war on drugs. The war on drugs failed because of that, because criminalizing drugs wasn't a thing. And so here's Petro talking about how the war on drugs has failed.
Fam, you're becoming such a libertarian. I'm laughing.
Fam,
la guerra contra las drogas ha fracasado. La lucha contra la crisis climática ha fracasado. Han aumentado los consumos mortales de drogas suaves, han pasado a las más duras. Se ha producido un genocidio en mi continente y en mi país han condenado a las cárceles a millones de personas para ocultar sus propias culpas sociales. Le han echado la culpa a la selva y sus plantas. Han llenado de sinrazón los discursos y las políticas. Yo les demando desde aquí, desde mi Latinoamérica herida, acabar con la irracional guerra contra las drogas. Disminuir el consumo de drogas no necesita de guerras, de armas. Necesita que todos construyamos una mejor sociedad. La guerra contra las drogas.
Okay, how is that a bad thing? Can you first of all, before I go off, because I'm gonna go off on this, what is he saying, Pasta, that is a bad thing? He's literally saying we need to help society to be a better society so we don't go this route. I mean, I don't know. I might be stupid. Can you please tell me what exactly that he's saying that is so bad? I just want to know.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily bad for a lot of people like us. I just think that there's going to be a lot of people out there who said it, who I'm assuming there will be a lot of like Christian Colombians that might not be cool with the decision. But however, I think the majority of the people out there that live there, despite their religion, will still be like, you know what, this is a good thing. This is going to be less death. This is going to be less killing. Less machine guns are needed. So at the end of the day, I think it's good. And fam, it's a libertarian idea. I mean, Petro's being a little libertarian over here, right? You know, he's talking about decriminalizing drugs. They've been talking about this for so long.
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
About the U.S. left, because there's a segment of the U.S. left that thinks we should be more harsh against drug paraphernalia, against drug use. Where do you fall on that sector?
Come on. I mean, who are these people now at the end of the day? You know how I feel about them. These people are idiots, and anybody who's thinking that. Now, listen, I think there's a part of the Christian conservatives that are like legalize cocaine. Absolutely not. You know, they're the same type of people who say, do not give out condoms in school. I don't want to encourage my kid to have sex. They're going to have sex anyways. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the drugs. They're going to have the drugs anyways. So, you know, I don't know these donkeys on the left who think this is a bad idea, but this doesn't seem like the move of necessarily a bought and paid globalist, because now you're going to have less military industrial complex there selling less weapons and less wars and whatnot. And this is all part of the move, fam, that a lot of the people felt the number one reason what Petro can do is he can usher in a peace agreement. He can get the killing turned down, like, you know, less deaths. And this is a move right here of him keeping his promise. Remember, it was the next step for Colombians. That's what a lot of people said. They were content and they were willing to go with Petro, even though he wasn't as left as some of them, to get these next moves done. And this is one of them right here.
Well, okay, so let me give you my rundown on this. You know, the war on drugs hasn't just failed in the United States. The war on drugs has failed in Latin America and Central America in terms of fucking over the entire population of people that were completely innocent in this. It has created crimes. It has created destruction. It has screwed generations of people from having a normal life. And he said it himself, you're literally trying to vilify plants. He said it in lesser terms, and I don't know if the translation came out, but that's what he's talking about. You're talking about marijuana. You're talking about certain plants. These are plants. I'm sorry. I don't care what you call me. These are plants. This is the earth. If you're going to fucking vilify a plant from the earth, like a marijuana plant, a mushroom, more than you vilify everything else that we take by big pharma prescription drugs, I know you have an agenda because you want people to partake to a certain type of mentality and a certain type of drug. And at the end of the day, the United States is the leader when it comes to people who are fucked up, people who are serial killers, people who go around the world acting like they are like psychopaths. And that is for a reason. It's not just the United States, it's the West. And it's that mentality of colonization, that mentality that they know better. And it's society that's the problem. It's not even about these drugs. It's about, why do people seek to have some sort of medication on themselves, right? And like, if you go back to, you know, people who use prescription drugs versus people who go to the jungles of Peru, Brazil, Colombia, and do ayahuasca because they have PTSD and they have heroin addiction and they have all this stuff. You look back and you say, hey, there's a reason why these people are the way they are. It's because of society. It is a systemic issue. It is not an issue of just people being addicts. Why do you think the West has so many addicts compared to the rest of the world? Does Africa have a lot of addicts? Does the rest of the world have to worry about that? No, because they're worried about getting like normal things like, like water, like a roof over their head, etc. The reason why a lot of first developed nations have these issues is because of the way society is set up. And the more you vilify and you criminalize drugs, it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. I've been to countries like the Netherlands where people literally are allowed to go and inject heroin, and the crime rate is so low. I am as left as they come on that, like, or as libertarian, whatever the fuck you want to call it, because I believe that the more regulation you have for these things and the more you allow people to experiment with their consciousness, the less likely they are to just there be a black market and an exploitation of these things. You will not have the DEA and the CIA and all these fucks be able to exploit this if you didn't have the war on drugs. And that is a fact. And so anybody that's saying, oh, because China is anti-drug, that means we have to be anti-drug. No, first of all, China is a completely different country. They have completely different norms, completely different mindset than you and I do. The United States and the West and a lot of these other countries have a completely different mindset. You cannot try to replicate China or any other country, because what works for the United States is not going to work for China and vice versa. And people need to understand that. And if Colombia decides that they don't want to participate in this stupid war on drugs and they want to find ways to rehabilitate people rather than criminalize them, I'm all for that. You know why? Because who will benefit? The people of Colombia will benefit rather than the fucking people in the DEA in the United States and all these criminals that seek to really just make so much money and power from the just complete like subjugation of all these countries. And I'm just so sick and tired of people trying to using their ideology to guide them. No, it's not your ideology that should guide you. It's the fucking truth and what works best for these countries. And these countries have the right and the sovereignty. And the fact that it took however many 50 years or more to have somebody like Gustavo Petro to finally say the war on drugs has failed just goes to show you how powerful the propaganda and the control is from the West, that it took this long for this guy who's a milquetoast. He's not even that left at all. He's not even anywhere remotely left that I would like him to be. That half of the Communist Party, all of the Communist Party in Colombia would like him to be. But guess what? He is saying that. And that goes to show you that people in the United States who don't know anything, who are just saying, oh, this door was funded, blah, 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 are completely wrong, because people of Colombia elected him and we were there to witness those elections. And they are happy that they even got to that point to say, hey, we're going to start from this blank slate. And now we have the opportunity to maybe go forward further from here. We don't even have that opportunity in the United States because we don't even have fair elections.
Somebody said, Jack Klugman, fam, the CIA stands for Cocaine Import Agency, and Petro's making a move not to play into that game, not play in the war on drugs. It just costs so much money all around to jail people. The people kill each other. Fam, people use these plants as medicine. You damn straight, Saul. Good to see you in there. Love that the fact that you're here hanging out today. And
actually,
good job.
In the Amazon, in Colombia, and Peru, and Brazil, in these areas that are by the Amazon, like literally, this is their heritage. This is what they do. You're gonna tell them they can't use a fucking plant? Yeah. Like, are you serious? But they should go and take some pill that'll help them become better for society. Get the hell out of here.
Pasta, good job on JD discussing MAGA communism. I'll be on Kit Cabello's following this show today to talk more about it. Went on our Revolutionary Black Network yesterday with Nick. Talked about it. It was really fun. Popular, so that's some people out there. Thank you so much. Are you guys going to analyze Bukele's speech as well? He said the U.S. and Europe, if you don't help, don't get in the way. You don't have the right to rule someone else's house. That's what Bukele said to the West. Once again, he's his own little creature out there doing his own little thing. Very, very different. But that's the whole point, is that, listen, one way or another, Bukele is going to have to find a way to unite with his neighbors around him. Otherwise, the West will go pick off him first. You know what I'm saying? And they have a lot of reasons to do that, because of the situation with Bitcoin and whatnot. Uncle Warren, I used to smoke weed just to tune out and have fun. Now I need it for aches and pains, anxiety, and depression. Oh, we love you, baby. No depression here today. You're hanging with the Convo Couch. You are, fam. And Kid is good people. He is, fam. But this whole pizza wars thing, I mean, it's not even a war.
Kit.
Sorry.
I love Kit, but he's wrong on the pizza, okay? Moscow has better pizza than Chicago, okay?
That's so harsh. I wouldn't go that far. We're up to 1945. Fam, we're up to 1945. Moscow does not have better pizza than
it. Absolutely does, guys.
Oh, God.
I invite you,
guys. We're close to that 40% range over there. We're getting up higher. We're getting it done. Very safe. U.S. Biolabs. Thank you for the nickel. Appreciate it. Have a great time. Safe travels. Love you guys. We love you too. Ron Harry. Best wishes. Ron Harry getting in there. And of course, we read the Mariah Myers one before. Fam. I do have some super rays on over at the Rockfin, guys. Thank you so much for the Rockfin super rays. We got 86 people, guys. Go on over there if you haven't got a chance to already. We have, I read those too. Jacob Greismer came back again. This is the transcript. The other is in the Wall Street Journal article. Yes, I saw that. Thank you for bringing that transcript. Aram left the Super 8 contribution. Thank you very much. It's always appreciated on the couch. And Jacob Greismer. In John Potash's book, Drugs as Weapons Against Us, he quotes the book, Politics of Heroin by Alfred McCoy, who said the Viet Cong were using acupuncture and martial arts to get people off, and the U.S. drug wars brought in Dr. Mutulu Shankar using acupuncture too. So what he was saying is that they were using all these other techniques, but they brought in their opioids, fam, their heroin-based products to push them.
So side note, I'm just gonna real quick. I'm not a doctor. I'm a TV doctor, right?
You're a certified TV doctor.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give you doctor advice, but I am just gonna say if Western medicine hasn't worked for you, go to Eastern medicine, because that is an outlet that I think a lot of people haven't explored in terms of just not just like medicinal, but psychology. If you have issues like there's so much that Western medicine doesn't cover. They use pills. That's one of the reasons why I never went into it, because I was always interested in psychiatry. But when I found out that that was one of the things would be to just give people pills, it just wasn't. How can you do that? How can you just tell people like they should just, this is a pill and that's it? Like, I'm sorry, like it's just not enough. There has to be other methods. There are other ways, and it's a lot of the Western therapies just don't work. And there's a lot more research being done on Eastern medicine, and being here in Russia, there's a lot more of that, and there's a lot more of that going on in China as well. And there's just so much you can look into that's not just like the regular Western medicine. And it would take an entire other fucking show for me to explain what I mean by that. But I'm just saying there's a lot more to the just help and medicinal and psychological and everything than Western medicine, because Western medicine, again, has been detrimental to a lot of people. And I've been able to help people close to me by using things like mushrooms rather than prescription drugs that really get them addicted to that sort of thing and dependent on that sort of thing. And I'm not saying it doesn't help some people, because I think it does. But I'm saying most people don't need to go that route. And a lot of it is because of the system. And if you can figure out how you're not the problem, and how the system is the problem, and how to be able to function better within the system by understanding like your strengths and stuff within the system, it really does help out a lot. And I think, as somebody that has used psilocybin, I just am I allowed to say that? I don't know, but whatever. It really is something that it's definitely life-changing, and it's something that I really stand by a lot. And if whatever, that makes me a hippie, whatever the fuck, I don't care. But like that's where I'm at, because I've had that experience, and I think I've seen that experience be beneficial to a lot of people.
Well, excuse me, Commandant Ortega is whispering in my ear. I said, yes, Commandant. You can see him right here, ladies and gentlemen. That's Commandante. Yes, Commandante. Yes, he's speaking to me, fam. He says, just keep an eye, because it looks like the U.S. is starting to signal regime change in Latin America. That's the title of this section. And here it is, fam. These are the things we hate to be right about, right? Like, this is the shit. It's like, why do we have to be right? U.S. migration from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua soared in August. And this has been, fam, it's been going out there now. It's like they all get the same headlines again. I mean, mute your mic. You okay? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it says the number of Venezuelans, Cubans, and Nicaraguans taken into custody at the U.S. border with Mexico has soared, fam, in August, as migrants from Mexico and traditional sending countries were stopped less frequently, authorities said Monday. U.S. authorities stopped migrants from Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua. Notice that those are the three countries that we still the United States complains about all the time. They're communist. 56,000 times last month, up to 49,826 times in July, and 23,141 times in August 2021, according to administration officials. Okay, that's who we're getting the words from. And then everybody just starts copying this shit and putting it out there. At the same time, fewer migrants were stopped from Mexico and Central America, Northern Triangle countries, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. But yeah, Nicaragua is still Central America, and it's right there by those three countries. So
my issue is I need to verify these numbers, because from what I've been hearing from even rich Venezuelans is like, oh no, we're going back to Venezuela because things are better now, and Maduro, he's not much of a problem, and whatever, Guaido is irrelevant, whatever. Like, That's what I've been hearing from Venezuelans. And from Nicaraguans, we know from the people we've talked to that the migration has actually been negative. Like people have been coming back into Nicaragua. So I'm trying to figure out where they're getting these numbers. I would like to do more of an in-depth. I'm not saying it's 100% untrue, but I am a little suspect as to where they're getting these numbers from. It wasn't emphasized really like as to where it's coming from, because we know the United States has a benefit, an interest in promoting this sort of thing, so they can promote regime change in places like Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. And I honestly haven't really seen much in Cuba and Cubans coming in here. That was a long time ago. I haven't really seen that happen as of late either. So I'm a little bit confused as to where they're getting these numbers, and I would like to do a double take on those numbers that they're claiming is happening. Because from what I know, Venezuela, people are coming, and not just from what I know, but from what I've seen on articles, people are going back to Nicaragua, people are going back to Venezuela. I'm not 100% on Cuba, but at least those two I know for a fact.
Well, they all have the same articles. They write the same type of paper. U.S. border encounters jump and increase migration from Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba. And you can see they repeat the same thing. Everybody gets the same email chain from them, and they just repeat it. So,
so it's easy to be like, oh, these Venezuelans and these Nicaraguans and Cubans, if communism worked, it was so great, then why are they coming here? And then that sort of thing. So it seems to work coincidentally to their own favor.
Mm-hmm. And getting to that communist statement, fam, look at this one too as well. Here's CBS News. Annual U.S. border arrivals top 2 million fueled. 2 million, fam. They got to throw the numbers in there. Fueled by record migration from Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua. It's all over the place. The more you look into it, the more you'll see the same writing on the walls. And sure enough, you can see pictures at the border. Fam, you went down there. When you went down there, what did you get a sense when you talked to somebody that one time as far as why they were coming here? The old man in particular.
Well, the particularly people were coming in because their country was chaotic at that point. Particularly the people in 2017 were coming from Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, particularly Honduras. That was coup via Hillary Clinton in the Obama administration in 2009. So the man that I spoke to, he was pretty much saying how with Manuel Zelaya, they had gotten healthcare, they had gotten higher wages, they had gotten more social security services. And then, of course, when Hillary Clinton removed him via the United States, of course, and ousted him, the country went to complete disarray. There was corruption, gangs, crimes. And so pretty much mafia took over and people had to leave. And so that's what people were doing. They risked their lives to leave. And again, I know this is my issue with a lot of people. I'm not saying that Democrats aren't hypocrites, and that people at Martha's Vineyard aren't a bunch of fucking shitlib Karens who love to talk about immigrants and never actually help them, because you're right. That's exactly what they do. Okay. Nobody's denying that they do that. But the reality is that people on the right also weaponize these migrants to their own benefit. And that's not right either. And just because it goes after Dems doesn't mean it's right. And so the whole thing is that, none of them are talking about the reason as to why these people are coming here. They're not talking about foreign policy. They're not having anti-war marches, which is something they should be doing and they would be doing if they understood the cause of migration. It's not like everybody knows. No, everybody knows. No, most people don't fucking know that. And if they do, they don't equate it to being as the main reason as people are migrating. They still look at people as being violent criminals coming into this country and all that. Let me tell you, people who fucking are coming into this country and have to cross a river in a desert aren't coming here because it's just some cool thing they're wanting to do. They know they could die. They know that women know they could be raped in the process, because that happens very often. they know that their children might not see them again. It's usually men, because guess what? The men are the ones that are the breadwinners. So they come to the United States, and what they usually do is once they make it into the United States, they work, they live in a house with a bunch of people, a bunch of men mostly, and they work like 3 jobs. They don't sleep. And they send the money, everything they earn, back to their families in Central and South America, mainly Central America right now, and you know, some parts of Mexico. And that's what they do. And then once they have enough money to get their families here, they get their families here. But most of the time, they send the men out first, okay? And they make all this money to try to get these people out there. I have never, and you don't know that unless you have worked in hospitality and unless you have worked in industries where fucking undocumented people work there, and you know that that's what they do. You don't know that unless you know. Like, it's that simple. And so for people to be like, oh, like, this is ha ha ha, like, oh my God, it's so great, DeSantis did this. Like, yeah, it's great. Okay, we're showing, you know, Democrats and how hypocritical they are, but we know they're hypocritical. We know they're pieces of shit. We know that they just like to virtue signal.
Yeah,
we know this.
And
it's not going to make a fucking difference.
And we also understand why they are coming more than anything, and nobody ever talks about that. That neither side would. DeSantis won't talk about it, you know. But what they will do, fam, is that they'll play the same game as far as demonizing and saying dictators and whatnot. Here's another line from that article: failing communist regimes in Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba are driving the new wave of migration across the Western Hemisphere. I'm going to say that again. What's the driving force over here? What's the problem? What are the lawmakers, the policymakers? What are they going to go back and tell the people, and why they have to go into these countries? Why? Because they're communist. Failing communist regimes in Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba are driving a new wave of migration across the Western Hemisphere. It's failing communist regimes, fam. That's what they're doing. I mean, they're just and they're, you know, I got a couple of videos over here, but the most important video, I think, I'm going to pull it up right now, is Joe Biden the other day. Did you see this at all? I mean, this is just waiting, fam. Your mind is going to be blown. And I got the tweet from Carlos Vecchio, so that's always a positive when you get a tweet from Carlos Vecchio. Here's Joe Biden the other day when he was asked what's going on with this migration problem. So he pivoted right into the warmonger Joe answer about these countries again. Let me get it up. Here it is. We agree, President Joe Biden and POTUS, returning migrants from Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua to fuel dictatorships would be irrational, as we have worked the right path to address political transition root cause in those countries and the process protect victims seeking asylum. So, fam, I don't know if they're going to grant a lot of the, people asylum, whatnot, and saying, oh, we have to stop this. To stop this, we have to stop the dictators in that country. So let's go over there and let's get rid of them. Here's Uncle Joe talking old Joe stuff.
Why is the border more overwhelmed under your watch, Mr. President?
Because there are 3 countries that are there are fewer immigrants coming from Central America and from Mexico. This is a totally different circumstance. What's on my watch now is Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua. And the ability to send them back to those states is not rational. You could send them back and have them, we're working with Mexico and other countries to see if we can stop the flow. But that's the difference. Thank you.
Okay, so let me comment on that. So first of all, it's no coincidence that those are the countries that are the most socialist countries in existence right now. Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, the countries that are most anti the US, anti-NATO, anti-US hegemony, anti-imperialist. These are the countries that say Yankee go home. Those 3 countries that have the leadership that says, get the fuck out of our affairs. So of course it's no coincidence that they're vilifying those countries. Number 1, by the way, don't think it's just a coincidence. Number 2, it's the fact that if they can say, oh, these people, we can't just send them back. They can justify the fact that, oh, these people need our help, so we're going to go help them. And so we're going to create regime change in these countries because we're trying to help them get democracy because these people, poor people, can't go back to their countries. They're trying to turn the people of these countries against their own country, because these are the countries that haven't been subjugated by the West and are pushing back against the West. So the role of the United States right now, the focus is to turn those countries, the people of those countries, against their own government. And so if they are able to say, oh, we're going to take some of the people, if you're a Nicaraguan or a Cuban or Venezuelan, we're going to take you, they're going to make those people anti their own countries. This is what the United States has done. This is nothing new. This is what they've done for fucking centuries, okay, at the very least for decades. And this is what they're doing because these countries are a threat to their fucking hegemony. These countries all are pro-Russian. These countries all have relationships with China. These countries all are completely done with the United States. They do not any longer want to be subjugated under the United States. And that's why the United States is trying to vilify them and say, oh, we can't send them back. Poor these people. And so what does that do? Oh, the right is like, oh my God, you're allowing these illegal aliens to come in here. How dare you? We don't even have enough money for our people, but you're allowing these illegal aliens so they can attack Biden on this and say he wants open borders, when really Biden and the administration and the State Department are basically just trying to push regime change, right? And so the right is like, wow, you're allowing these people from these countries and these dictators. And so at the end of the day, the foreign policy remains the same. It's just that they're using each like Biden's own like bullshit that he's trying to do as like, oh, he's being for open borders, he's being pro-immigrant, when he's not being pro-immigrant at all. They're weaponizing and tokenizing these fucking people for their own political agenda. And that's what's happening. And nobody talks about it from the right side of what actually is, because the fucking liberals are like, oh my God, Biden's a racist and he's doing all this and he's not doing enough, or the left, I would say. And the right is like, oh my God, these Republicans just want to send these people back. They don't treat them as humans, blah, blah, blah. No, it's the fact that both parties are fucking tokenizing them and weaponizing them to their own political agenda. And at the end of the day, guess what? The State Department gets to try to overturn these countries and tries to coup these countries, because these countries are a threat to the fact that the United States government isn't treating you the way they should be. These countries provide healthcare, they provide education, they have other forms. Cuba has a longer life expectancy for their people than we do. Like, these are facts. There's nothing I'm saying that isn't a fact. Yeah. And the fact, you know what? If you don't fucking like Cuba, Nicaragua, or Venezuela, okay, that's fine. You don't live there. Why do you care? That's the problem I have. Like, you don't live there.
There's also a lot of votes they're pandering to in Florida to all those people, and they are of that mentality that, you know, they want to get rid of these governments, and they want to use America's government to do it. They want to manufacture consent. This is something I was concerned about when I went to Freedom Fest, when I went on that panel. I'm like, these are libertarians over here. These guys are actually asking pretty much for the United States to come in there justifiably and remove these leaders. And what does that mean? Funding weapons of war again, just like you see in Ukraine. Fiorello said it. They've been doing this for how long? They've been doing it for years. And fam, you know I'm a newspaper guy. I call myself Craig Fidel Jardula. Or, you know, you can call me Fidel James Franco Castro. Migration from Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua shoots up. So we have one, it soars, one, it shoots up, one, it's 20 million, one, it's because of failing communism. You got to bring in the biggest gusano of them all. Everybody talks about Ron DeSantis. This guy, to me, has always just frightened the dickens out of me. He listened to all the talking points here, and you could do this in several different Ron DeSantis conversations about these countries, and these three countries in particular. Here he is at a Cuban. Based. He's a Cuban round table. He's talking right now. Listen to his opinions about, and listen to all the buzzwords, because they're all there.
So based.
I think you've seen. I mean, obviously, we have people here who were in the Bay of Pigs, and they remember the Soviet involvement in Cuba from the 1960s on. And now you have China, and they are involved in Venezuela. And oh, by the way, now is not the time to be taking away sanctions on Venezuela. Oh. That's going to end up helping the Cuban government. Obviously, it'll help the dictatorship in Venezuela as well. So I think that you have a potential for a lot of hostile influences in the Western Hemisphere. And that Cuban regime, that is the centerpiece of any malign actor who wants to be involved in the Western Hemisphere against American interests, the first place you go is to Havana, and you make common cause with them. And so they have caused, if you look at the Western Hemisphere since the regime seized power, Havana has been the focal point of almost all the problems in the Western Hemisphere. The majority of the problems emanate from there. When you see some of these other Marxist regimes, that has the Cuban dictator on it every single time. So it's that regime's existence has obviously been very devastating to millions of people's lives. It's been very hostile to American interests consistently for over 60 years, every step of the way.
Fam, they're getting
hostile
away
to American
getting away with
interests.
American business, fam. You said it, dude. And I heard you
These
laugh when you said the
Marxists.
Marxism. Yeah, dude, like every single one, dude. Like every single fucking one.
I'm so hostile.
You know, and you had Joe Biden say that stuff the other day. It doesn't make a difference, Republican or Democrat.
That's what I'm saying. I hate it when people like prop him up. Like, I understand he was better than others in the COVID situation when it comes to Florida, but guys, come on, like, that's it. This is why I'm not a single issue voter. And at the end of the day, you know, if you're going to continue the same type of foreign policy that the neocons do, really, what am I voting for here? Like, what's the difference? Like, what? I don't get it. Fucking Gusano.
He is. We don't have any. I think we don't. Yeah, we don't have any more Super Rays, and I think we are good in the good set and go right now. We're up to 1945, guys. It's a great year.
Woo!
1980. Wait. We Amber and Fams at Roar Media have some manqueca I don't know.
Fam, what are you doing?
I can't read it. She's put up a bunch of Brazilian words. She said, have some moqueca capiacaba with
Tapioca?
Yeah, that thing over there, fam.
I love tapioca. Have you guys ever had tapioca? It's like this, like seed thing, like yogurt white thing. Have it. You can buy it at the grocery store by like the yogurt section or like the juice section. It's like this pudding thing. It's so fucking good, tapioca. But mostly I just love the Brazilian soap operas. If you guys haven't seen my favorite Brazilian soap opera that I watched a long time ago, it's called El Clon. You should watch it. Yeah. Shakira's music was featured in that one when she was first coming out. So go watch that one.
Fam, this is the last show we have before we hit the ground running in Brazil. We're about 1980 into the account, guys. We'll keep putting it out there. Maybe you can do a free rant at the airport or something. Maybe I'll do a little update. We'll get it going. But that's it right now. I'm going to go jump over and kick Cabela's show and get on there. Fam, did you want to watch this last little video I have over here? Here, let me share.
Did we see Biden's video or no?
Yeah, we saw Biden. Biden said, you didn't remember what he said? Jeez.
Oh, I don't remember if we saw his video, but
yeah,
okay.
Fam, we saw his video. So, fam, there's been this talk about.
Are we seriously watching this right now? No, I don't want to watch this.
MAGA communism.
Look, I think this is a really interesting phenomenon. I think it might be positive.
So I'm going to let you explain.
To help us understand what MAGA communism really stands for.
What is MAGA communism?
Communism.
Okay. I was in a small piece of it. You saw me. That's it. I'm going to. You want to know what MAGA communism?
Doesn't even know what communism is, and he's going to go talk about MAGA communism.
I'm going over on Kate Cabela's show right now. I have to go. So I just wanted to play that to get that started.
I'm just going to tell you guys, Pasta doesn't even know what communism is, but please, yes, Pasta, tell everybody how much.
I know there's no such thing as MAGA communism. I'll tell you that much. I don't
well, yeah, yes, so. I will give you that. But yeah. No.
Have fun with that stuff. So, anyways, love you guys. We're out of here. We're on our way to Brazil. We'll see you there from the ground. Wish us luck. Thank you so much. Remember, you can always go to thegiftsofgo.com, the Combo Couch Brazil. For Pasta Jardula.
Fiorella.
We are out, guys. See you soon.
Come on.